It was a warm August afternoon in Venice, Los Angeles, when the peaceful neighborhood was shattered by chilling screams. Concerned residents dialed 911, urging the police to investigate the disturbance near the intersection of Thornton Court and Pacific Avenue. Little did they know, this call would set in motion a chain of events that would leave a man fighting for his life and a community grappling with questions about mental health, use of force, and the very role of policing.
Pacific units at 14X16, 14X16, screaming man, Thornton and Pacific, Thornton and Pacific, between Pacific and Speedway in the alley off of Thornton. Code for incident 5092 and RD 1412.
The dispatcher's words crackled through the radio, alerting officers to the unfolding situation. The urgency in the voice and the mention of a screaming man hinted at the potential volatility of the encounter that awaited the responding officers. The responding officers from the LAPD's Pacific Division arrived on the scene, unsure of what to expect. As they approached the source of the commotion, they encountered 37-year-old John Penny, a man who appeared to be in the throes of a mental health crisis. Penny's behavior was erratic, his speech incoherent, and his actions unpredictable. The officers knew they had to proceed with caution.
Put the bottle down.
No.
Yeah, put it down.
No.
Put the bottle down.
No, because as soon as I do, you're going to tell me I'm arrested, right?
No, man, I just want to talk to you. You additional unit supervisor.
Yeah, right.
The initial encounter between Penny and the officer was already quite tense. Penny, holding a bottle in his hand, refused to comply with the officer's commands to put it down. His responses were disjointed and paranoid, suggesting a deep distrust of law enforcement. The officer, trained to assess and control potentially dangerous situations, found themselves face to face with a man who seemed disconnected from reality. The challenge of establishing effective communication and building trust in such a high-stress scenario became immediately apparent. As the minutes ticked by, the officers continued their attempts to reason with Penny, their voices growing more urgent with each passing moment.
I'm real blunt.
Hey, man, just put the bottle down.
I'm real blunt.
We're just trying to make sure you're
What?
all right.
I'm real blunt.
What?
What's a real blunt?
What are you talking about?
Penny's fixation on the phrase real blind and real blunt hinted at an inner turmoil, a distorted perception of reality. The officers, despite their best efforts, struggled to understand the meaning behind his words. The communication breakdown between Penny and the police underscored the challenges of responding to mental health crises in the field. The lack of a shared language and understanding heightened the tension and made it difficult for the officers to establish a meaningful connection with Penny.
Put down the bottle. Put down the lock.
What's a real blunt?
Put down the bottle.
No.
Put down the lock.
No.
What are you doing?
Till you talk to me like a real man. What's a real blunt?
What's a real what?
A real blunt.
Real blunt?
Yeah.
Like a marijuana blunt?
A real blunt.
The officers' frustration grew as Penny continued to resist their commands. The mention of backup hinted at the escalating tension and the realization that the situation was spiraling out of control. Penny's cryptic references to 1999 and his insistence on holding onto the bottle further complicated the already chaotic scene. The officers found themselves grappling with a multitude of unknowns, trying to piece together the puzzle of Penny's state of mind while ensuring the safety of all involved. As the situation escalated, the officers resorted to a less lethal force option, the taser.
Put the bottle down. Put the bottle down. I'll tase you.
Do not follow me.
Put the bottle down. I will.
You think that
Put
hurts?
the bottle down. Put it down.
The deployment of the taser marked a turning point in the encounter. The officers, faced with an individual who appeared unresponsive to verbal commands, made the split-second decision to use force in an attempt to gain control. The use of the taser raised important questions about the effectiveness and appropriateness of less lethal weapons in mental health crises. While intended to subdue without causing permanent harm, the taser's impact on an already agitated individual remained a concern.
Put the bottle
What's
down.
a real blunt?
I don't know, man. Put the bottle down so I can talk to you.
No? So it's not real?
Put it down so I can talk to you.
So it's not there.
Put the bottle down.
1999 is fake.
Put the bottle down so I can talk to you.
1999 is fake.
Okay.
Penny's rambling about 1999 being fire added to the confusion and chaos of the moment. The officers, struggling to establish a meaningful dialogue, continued to plead with him to put down the bottle. The repeated commands and the increasing urgency in their voices painted a picture of a situation that was rapidly deteriorating. The officers found themselves in a precarious balancing act, trying to de-escalate the encounter while also ensuring the safety of themselves and the public. As another officer arrives, the situation becomes more erratic and tense, and Penny picks up a cardboard box to protect himself, and his behavior becomes much more unhinged. The responding officer then decides to tase Penny to try to shut down the situation.
Put it down. Hey, put the bottle down.
You know, bro, what?
Even after the taser has been fired, Penny seems completely unfazed, continually asking if they know a real blunt. At this point, the officers realize that this encounter won't be over so easily. The arrival of additional police units on the scene brought a new dynamic to the encounter. Officers armed themselves with less lethal weapons, including a beanbag shotgun and a 40mm launcher, in preparation for a potential confrontation, both being non-lethal weapons. The presence of multiple officers, while intended to provide support and ensure safety, may have only heightened the tension. As now a larger group follows Perry down the alley, he continues to disobey them, and now picks up a plank.
Hey, stop! Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back now!
As Penny's behavior grew more erratic, the officers found themselves in a precarious position. The line between protecting the public, ensuring their own safety, and respecting the rights and well-being of an individual in crisis became increasingly blurred. Also, with additional officers new to the situation, it created more of an unstable environment. The shouts of, "Get back!" and the warnings of impending force painted a picture of a rapidly deteriorating situation. The officers, faced with an unpredictable and potentially dangerous individual, had to make split-second decisions with limited information and resources. The officers found themselves in a difficult position, weighing the need to protect themselves and the public against the desire to resolve the situation peacefully. The intense pressure and rapidly evolving circumstances added to the complexity of the encounter. As Penny takes some protection behind a garage corner, he still has the wood in hand. As the officers continually shout, "Get back!" in Penny's confusion, he steps out from the garage and one of the officers fires his weapon at Perry, firing 3 shots.
Hey, that's what hey, I shot. Get down!
Even after 3 rounds being fired at Penny, 2 from a pistol and 1 from the beanbag, he again is seemingly unfazed by the fact he has just been shot. The police ready the beanbag alongside the lethal shots he has just received. He is seen to be very agitated and is obviously starting to realize the situation he is in. And surely the pain, the must come from receiving 2 gunshot wounds.
Whoa! Hey! You know what? You know what?
In the chaos that followed, questions began to emerge. Was the use of lethal force justified? Could alternative approaches have led to a different outcome? The split-second decision to employ deadly force would become the subject of intense scrutiny and debate in the days and weeks to come. Despite being wounded, Penny's ordeal was far from over. For an additional 8 minutes, he remained in the alley, resisting arrest, his injuries untreated as officers worked to secure the scene. Additional officers are then able to corner him with riot shields, and he can be finally seen with his hands up and succumbs to the police officers.
Turn around! Turn around, man.
Come on, man. Alright,
Hey, where'd you get hit, dude? Where'd you get hit? Where'd you get hit?
As Penny was finally taken into custody and transported to a hospital, the impact of the incident began to ripple through the community. Residents, activists, and community leaders demanded answers, questioning the use of force and the handling of mental health emergencies by law enforcement.
Police shooting controversy. Officers opened fire on a homeless man in Venice. He survived, but now many organizations are rallying, saying the shooting was not justified.
Due to the use of lethal force on somebody who is clearly having a psychological issue, caused a lot of stir in activist groups.
The shooting sparking outrage with Black Lives Matter and other organizations.
We know that we are constantly under attack. that black people have targets on our backs.
Penny, who was known in the area because one of the neighbors allowed him to sleep behind his house in his driveway.
And Colleen, this is the area, the alleyway where that shooting happened. The landlord who lives here actually gave permission for a homeless man, John Penny, to camp on this area of his driveway, which he's been doing for about a year. Last week, a noise complaint was called in. The situation escalated, ending with police opening fire.
I felt sorry for him based on his history.
The revelation of Penny's criminal history, including weapons violations, battery, narcotics, and resisting arrest, added another layer of complexity to the conversation. While his past actions may have contributed to the officer's risk assessment, it does not negate the need for a compassionate and measured response to individuals experiencing mental health crises.
Penny is a resident of Los Angeles with a criminal history which includes numerous convictions for edged weapons violations, battery, narcotics, and resisting arrest. At the time of this incident, Penny was on formal probation for battery.
The disclosure of Penny's criminal background sparked debates about the intersection of mental health, substance abuse, and criminality. While his history may have informed the officer's approach, it also highlighted the need for a more nuanced understanding of the complex factors that contribute to such encounters. In more recent years, a federal court hearing investigating the incident ruled that the officer who shot Penny in August of 2019 did in fact use excessive force